Good morning, BookTube, YouTube. This is Johnny. Today is the last day of January. It is January the 31st, 2025. It's 9:43 in the morning. Waking up to a damp, gray day. It's supposed to rain snow this morning. So I am waking up. I got up around 8 o'clock. My wife was up. My wife goes to bed early, gets up early. And when I came upstairs, she was doing her feet treatment, and then she left to go. We had devotions. We're reading through the Gospel of Luke. And then we read from the Valley of Vision, a devotional book. And then we prayed, and then I was writing in my paper diary. I'm on page 102 this morning. And this is the Friday Reads. Usually I just show you what I've been reading the last couple of days. There is one book I did go to Blue Stockings bookshop. I mentioned that in my last video. I finally got around to going around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And because I was kind of curious if I hadn't been there because of the bad weather. It's the north side of Holland. And so I found a lot of books. And I thought about doing a video of that, like a used book haul. And also I've been going to local thrift stores, found a couple books. So I have around maybe 15, 20 used books. What I'll do is I'll make that video probably Sunday when Carol's at church, because the first Sunday of the month at Carol's church they have a potluck after the morning worship service. So I'll do that video Sunday. I'll show you all those used books, but because some people like to look at the used books that I collect. Sometimes when I go to a thrift store and I buy a bunch of books, people say, well, now you got something to read. And I said, I'm just collecting books. Now, I do read some things that I do find at thrift stores. Like I found this book, Natural History by Carlos Francisca. I found at the Book Nook, the library used bookstore. And I'm almost done with this. And the reason why I didn't finish it yet is because I started getting back into The Librarius by Patrick DeWitt, and I want to finish this, and I'll probably finish it today. I'll probably finish both of these this weekend. And I thought about doing a video. Now, when I'm reading a novel or reading anything, I'm always sharing with my wife like a little summary of what I've been reading. And I thought about doing that in a video, just like how I share with my wife what I'm reading. Now, my wife also reads. As you know, my wife has a local women's book club neighborhood, just women in our block and the block over who come, and they meet every 4 weeks. And my wife gets books from the library. You get a little big blue bag of the same book. You get 12, and then you distribute them, and then you read them. Now, the women don't always read what my wife chooses, but they get together here, and they have. Women love to talk, and so it's kind of like a time of just getting together and women getting together. Anyway, so I thought about just when I finished reading The Librarius. Now, this is the third novel I've read. This is the fourth novel I've read by Patrick DeWitt, and I wouldn't consider him a great writer, but I do find him entertaining. He tells a good story. The characters are well developed. There is it has a beginning and end. It has always the novel carries you along. There's a certain tension that draws you along to the end. You do want to find out what happens to the characters. You do want to you do want to finish the novel, and he's not difficult to read like some postmodern or modernist novels that kind of are very don't have a plot or character development or story development. These do. They're just straight stories. He's a good storyteller. That's what I like about Patrick DeWitt. And there's a certain charm to his writings, a certain put a smile on your face, and sometimes a slight heartache, a pain, because usually the main characters in his novels tend to be kind of, there's a certain passivity about them. They're kind of like going through life and just watching things around them unfold. They're not always immersed in what is going on around them, but life just carries them along and brings them into these different situations and relationships. And but I really like him. He reminds me of, now a writer that is a little above Patrick DeWitt is Jonathan Lethem, which I really enjoy reading also. Jonathan Lethem is a little bit higher as far as artistic and literary, what the word is, that I really like Jonathan Lethem. He tells a good story, good characters, really a great storyteller. And another person, and a little bit different, is D.C. Boyle. His novels have a good story, but they're more, his novels are more, T.C. Boyle, are more novels of ideas, and his characters and his stories center around like ecology or some historical figure, things like that. Anyway, but I really like Patrick DeWitt in The Librarius, and I really enjoy this. It's this nice, comfortable, warm, somewhat heartache kind of novel, and I'm almost done with it. Now, the natural history, this is the kind of novel that when I think if I was to do a book review, I'd have to write a book about the novel, like doing a deep dive, because it's a novel of all kinds of different stories, different characters. There's a lot of reflections on art, on photography, on politics, what is identity, certain thing. It's a novel that makes you think, and it's somewhat it has a multiplicity of different stories, and so you have to keep them all in your head. But I really enjoyed reading it, and I do recommend it, as I've mentioned. And I did get another, yesterday I was, like I said, I went out, I had to put gas in my car, and then I had to go to Staples office supply store to get paper, so I'm always writing in my diary, I'm running out of paper. And I stopped at different thrift stores, Goodwill, Salvation Army, and I found a novel that I might start reading. It's called The Incarnations by Sarah Barker. And if I see up in the corner, it says a notable book, the New York Times Book Review of the year. And so when I saw that, I immediately grabbed it. If I see a notable book the New York Times book review, I immediately just grab it. It also says here, New York Times book review, notable book of the year, 2015. Kirkus Review, best fiction book of 2015. Finalist for the 2015 Kirkus Prize for Fiction. And so it says here, it says in the back cover about this book, when in Beijing, taxi driver begins receiving mysterious letters left on his car from someone claiming to be his soulmate. He becomes convinced that he has a stalker. Who could know driver Wang so well and yet be capable of writing the searing letters which speak of a shared past that spans over 1,000 years? Wang's previous lives are vividly described by the secret writer, taking him back in time to a spirit bride in the Tang dynasty, to a young slave on the run from Genghis Khan, to a concubine plotting to kill the emperor. Each letter feels at once familiar and terrifying as Wang feels the watcher growing closer and closer, seamlessly weaving Chinese folklore and centuries of history with a taut story of intrigue, betrayal, and love. The Incarnations is an astonishing tale for the ages. So I might read that. And I have been reading the uncollected stories of Melville Gallant, and reading also Nest in the Bones, stories by Antonio de Viento. So those are the kind of things I read when I'm not reading my Christian books. Now, yesterday I've been reading in the mornings Jonathan Toller's sermons. He lived from 1300 and he died in 1361. Was one of the most influential German mystical writers of the 14th century. Born in Strasbourg, he spent virtually all of his life there working as a, I can't pronounce that word, midgetant preacher, like a traveling preacher, I think, in the order of preachers, a product of the newly ascended merchant class. He attempted to address his concerns for a practical, active spirituality while being true to the apocalyptic tradition that he saw in Eckhart. Anyway, really enjoy reading this. This is kind of, when you read this, it takes you, you have to meditate, you have to ponder, and it's become one of my favorites. I just got this last month or a month before, and I've really been blessed in reading them. These are translated by Maria Shady, introduction by Joseph Smith. So yeah, I've really been, it's very thin volume. Sometimes I wish there was more, but I have also by him is Meditations on the Life and Passion of Christ by John Toller, published by this Evangelical Lutheran Just and Sinner. So this kind of goes along with, like my wife and I were reading through the Gospel of Luke, and so right now I'm on the part Jesus is delivered to Pilate, and that's where we're at right now in the Gospels, is where Jesus is going to be crucified and he is delivered to Pilate. I also been reading, I read this last night, Following Columbine, A Pilgrim's 4,000-Mile Quest for Monks, Meaning and the Meaning of Monks by Johannes M. Swartz. I told you he has a YouTube channel, but now he's off for another year by reading this. Johannes M. Swartz is an ordained monk or priest. He has a PhD in, I think, philosophy or theology. He's from Austria, and so I've been reading this. And yesterday I read Union with Christ, Salvation as Participation by Jordan Cooper. Jordan R. Cooper is an evangelical Lutheran scholar, a theologian. He teaches. I'm not sure if he has a church, but I really enjoyed reading this. Yesterday I read it up until almost 1 o'clock in the afternoons. He also wrote, I have another book that he wrote, Christification, the Lutheran Approach to Theosis by Jordan Cooper. I haven't started this yet, but I'll probably look at it this morning. And looking at Light from Light, an anthology of Christian mysticism, edited by Louis Debray and James A. Weissman. I picked this up at Blue Stockings. This is one of the books I got the other day at Blue Stockings. It's an anthology of different selections of writings of different mystics. And so I picked that up. And I'm going to read Martyrs, Monks, and Mystics, An Introduction to Christian Spirituality by Michael J. McClellan. Yeah, I'll probably read this afternoon. I'm on the chapter on mystics in here. And get back into reading Understanding the Divine and Early Modern Reformed Theology by Richard A. Muller. And read Women Mystics in Medieval Europe by Emily Zumbrunn, Giorgetta. I can't pronounce their names, but yeah, I have to get back into this. Most of this is selections of writings by medieval mystics. I thought it'd be more going into them, like an analysis of the mystical theology, but it's mostly just selections from their writings. But I have in the series Mysticism and Reformation, 1500 to 1650, Part 1, Presence of God, Volume 6, History of Western Christian Mysticism by Bernard McQuinn. He has a whole book devoted to medieval women mystics in this series that I can look at to get a more thorough analysis or explaining these women mystics, their spirituality and their mystical theology. So I'll probably get that out today. So yeah, that's what basically I'm going to read this weekend, look at, and like tomorrow is February the 1st, 2025. I have to get my February 2025 diary ready this morning. So that's what I'm reading, and Sunday I will show those used books. But I do. I'm still reading Angela Foligno, Complete Works in the Classics of Western Spirituality. Yeah, I'm almost done with the introduction, and then I can get into the text, which is the memorial, the book of Blessed Angela of Foligno. And then you have her memorial, chapter 1, and then you have in this, it's called the Blessed book of, part two. Part two is called The Instructions. Instruction 1, Angela confesses to be a great sinner. It opens up with, I was plunged into an abyss of deep humility, the depth of which began to open to me, but only briefly. On the second Sunday of Lent, on the following Monday at Combine, in the abyss of this humility, I saw so clearly the superabundance of my malice, iniquity, and sins, that it seemed impossible for me to disclose them and make them known by any method or by any means or any creature in the world. I was not ashamed, however, to confess in front of everyone all the sins I had committed. I even enjoyed imagining how I could make public my iniquities, hypocrisies, and sins. I wanted to parade naked through the town and public squares with pieces of meat and fish hanging from my neck, and to proclaim, behold, the lowest of women, full of malice and deceit, stinking with every vice and evil. I observed Lent enclosed in my cell to impress people and win esteem. Whenever anyone invited us, I made sure they were told I do not eat flesh or fish. But in reality, I fancied fine foods. It was full of gluttony. I was a great eater and a guzzler. I pretended I wanted only what it was necessary for me, but I had things put away for another day. I affected outward poverty and feigned to sleep on hard surfaces, but what I really wanted was to stay in bed and sleep all day. And what I did, in fact, was asleep under many blankets which were removed in the morning so that no one could see them. See what a devil I am, and the malice in my heart. Listen to how proud I am, hypocritical, an abomination before God. While I pretended to be a daughter of prayer, I was a daughter of wrath, pride, and the devil. So she's confessing herself to be a great sinner as part of the beginning of her spiritual life, that we see that we are a sinner and that we need to be saved. So it's 22 minutes. I'll cut off. This morning I was going to read, like I said, I was going to read this morning. I think I was going to read, what was I going to read? Oh, I was going to read the Meditations on the Life and Passion of Christ by John Toller. So I hope you had a good reading month, that as we go into the month of February, that you have a good reading month. Yeah, I'll make a video Sunday. I know, I've shown all these books and talked about them in recent videos, but this is what I read on Fridays, what I read during the weekend. There's no football, so I'll read all morning, and I'm not going anywhere. But I will finish The Librarius by Patrick DeWitt, and I will finish reading Natural History by Carlos Francisca, and then I'll start reading The Incarnations by Susan Barker. So I'll sign off, and yeah, I'm doing okay. It's kind of like you go up and down, and you just try to keep your mind on eternal realities and realize that this life is just passing away, that we're here just for a moment, and then there's the day of judgment, and that what is really important is to be saved and to know Jesus Christ, and to seek salvation every day, seek true repentance, true faith. Pray to the Holy Spirit, God the Holy Spirit, to put the love of God in your heart, give you true conversion, true regeneration. Have mercy on me, O God, I am a sinner and I need to be saved. And so thank you for the comments, thank you for the new subscribers. And I'll sign off, put these books away, write in my diary, get my February 2025 diary ready, and Carol will come home, we'll go through the day, and not much else. So I'll sign off, and may the Lord bless. Until next time, bye.